SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
William Carey University Athletics.
Every sport you find exciting.
Crusader Talk.
Crusader Talk. And now,
This is Crusader Talk. Crusader Talk. We're covering everything William Carey University Athletics. From the field to the court and the diamond on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
And welcome, everyone, back to Crusader Talk. Glad you are with us here on a Monday. Caleb Hamill, Josh West with you, with Dalton Stanford man of the board for us throughout today's episode. Well, it is the summer. That means we have no live athletics to recap, no games immediately on the horizon, but man, the countdowns are on for the upcoming 2026-27 athletic year. It's an academic year too, but also embarking upon the semester type schedules and everything else. Are we in year two of that? I've all of a sudden lost track. Is this our first year that we're going to have the full semesters, or this is year two?
Oh, goodness. I think this is the first full year, right?
Maybe.
Because I think this
some student is listening and they're going to be like, "You guys are crazy."
I think this was affecting basketball.
Yeah.
I think it was more work on making sure everybody got eligible at Christmas. Get
Yeah.
those. Don't sleep on the finals, guys. We got to cross this thing over and get. And look, that's not picking on Carey. That's not picking on basketball or Carey. I've been at multiple schools in multiple programs on men's and women's side. That is just a universal thing. Those midterms, if you will, can slip up on you.
Oh yeah,
you got to take them seriously. And we've had not a star player, the star player become ineligible. And when school started back, you had them for the first few conference games, and then school starts back. That's it. And they were and they were a senior, best player on the team, senior, and you're out. It's it. It's over. That's tough.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a lot of different things we can cover as we move through the summer. It doesn't always have to be live athletics. A lot of it's going to be some previews of what's to come. As we kind of move into July, I think that's going to be a little bit more of the scene that you'll get. We'll have interviews with coaches as we approach their season's beginnings. We'll talk different Crusaders that are involved in summer activities, whether they be alums or students currently on break. But as we kind of wrap up an athletic calendar year, I think over these next two episodes or so, it's time to just kind of rest back, take a backward glance at what we saw over the past, not full 365 days, but whatever you want to do to date it back to August of last year, and just assess what we were able to consume as both spectators, broadcasters, fans of William Carey Athletics, because there are a lot of things that you can think about William Carey. You can think about the success that they have had sustained in the SSAC. You see that as evidenced through the 10th straight Commissioner's Cup won by the university. Also, Tracy English, Athletics Director of the Year in the conference as well. But also just to kind of look introspectively, because if you only look at your successes within a small frame of reference, like the SSAC only, it's almost kind of like what Nick Saban was saying when he was coaching at Alabama. We're not playing always the team that's next on our schedule. We're competing against ourselves, against our chance at being a better version of ourselves. So I think a lot of what we can dive into today is kind of maybe we'll turn into a grading system of saying, how would you grade the performance of each athletic team from last year, and what would you most like to look forward to for that team in the upcoming year? Obviously, baseball, softball, those things are going to be fresh on our minds, straight coming out of those seasons. But the ones with the closest proximity to us, we're going to have to kind of dial back the clock and look back at it to see what exactly will be our grade for all those. But we'll get to that in just a little bit. But, Josh, I wanted to start out with this. Some news for us. We haven't had a full-blown press release about this, but it is now official that William Carey University, as an athletic program, has now an official athletic apparel partner. And we are now officially an Adidas school.
Adidas has been aggressive, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. And yeah, a lot of different schools in this general region have gone that direction. And Mississippi State cut over to them back in 2009. Been with them ever since.
And they were kind of a front runner in that, were they not? I mean,
They
in
were
my mind.
They were one of the early adopters. There was a lot of transition from the Russell years into what are now kind of the front runners of Adidas, Nike, and Under Armour. But William Carey is now under the Adidas umbrella. And what that means is there's going to be a lot of official licensed university apparel as it relates to the athletics logo. Basically, all strictly athletic gear is going to have Adidas as their main brand. You can still likely get other offshoot things that are not directly athletics. So fishing shirts, other companies can get involved in that and license the brand. You can have some other more formal attire type polos, like a Cutter and Buck can still use the Carey Athletics logo for that. But as the mainstay, William Carey is now an Adidas licensed school. And if you're wondering, okay, how is this different from anything that we've had before? You may be in the dark of how this all used to be formatted. Truth be told, it was kind of up to each individual sport as to who they wanted to use to provide jerseys or polos, sideline apparel, whatever have you. And so you ended up with 3 or 4 different groups that were providing apparel to the university. And now it has become a mainstay to where Adidas is going to be the provider, the brand, and where other places around town can purchase the gear, resell it, put it on the rack or the shelf, available to you. Now, Josh, you're a brand type of guy. You know how this market works. You've been around it for a while. I feel like this is a big step for William Carey as it relates to overall the brand and locking into it, feeding it, and cultivating it moving forward.
Yeah, especially I think as a golfer, I love it. I think that for our nationally competitive golf programs, I think they'll lean into that. They'll be able to go head to toe as well in golf, shoes, belts, hats, slacks, shirts, everything, head to toe, Adidas. And they'll be able to have some freedom in that as well and some variety. So I think that's great. And I think it speaks to the growth of William Carey. Because again, I just think back to the William Carey of the Ben Smith era, of my brother-in-law, of my wife 20 years ago. This was a school with, depending on the year, around 1,800 students. It is 6,000 students and growing. I mean, it's rapidly. I think we can see in the very near future that number be 8,000. There's a market now. There's a big-time market for name brand apparel. Comfortable brands and styles that people are, wanting, the fits they're wanting and so forth. I think there's a huge market for this with the Carey rapidly growing alumni base, especially. Start there. Now, you already have an alumni base, but again, it was smaller just because of the number of graduates per year. That number is essentially quintupling, from almost quadrupling, certainly. And so I think this is huge. I think this is huge. And I think it's going to give that uniform look like you're talking about, and I think the students are going to love it. Yeah,
brand standards, I feel like, are something that can sometimes go unnoticed, but whenever you see a brand that has been consistent in what they put out there, you have to honor it and think that, man, this is something that's legit. I mean, I think in the college football ranks, think about these teams that have had a locked-in look for many years. A Notre Dame, an Alabama, even Auburn has had a pretty locked-in look, especially to their jerseys, for the past decades. I mean, Alabama for almost a century, it feels like.
Let's take 2 teams that are in our backyard that we can relate to. So let's take Mississippi State and Southern Miss, 2 teams that we're familiar with. And look how they've taken the classic colors and the classic look, and they've added a modern twist. Just maybe a little bit of a slant to a line, a little bit of a curve somewhere, a little bit of a edge, maybe a little bit of a different sheen to the fabric, a little bit of a different type of checkering of that where the light hits that fabric and so forth. They've come up with some familiar yet very new concepts, very clean concepts, very exciting concepts. Look, it is a recruiting tool.
It is 100%.
It is absolutely. Who are you wearing? What do the uniforms look like? What am I going to take my recruiting photo in and put on social media? Am I going to get laughed at, or are people going to love the clean look? And it's a clean look.
I can't tell you how many times when I would, again, I'm a Mississippi State graduate, so I saw this firsthand. How many times you would go about campus and you knew immediately when you encountered somebody that was a part of the athletics department because of how they were dressed. And I know at a D1 school you probably have a bigger budget for all the different type branded things you'll get. They almost have Christmas Day on the first day of classes or first day they arrive on campus. But still, the amount of times I saw those slides, people walking in them, going around campus, their shorts or their even athletics T-shirts, all of it was centered around their athletics team, the athletics program. And William Carey's about to be able to divvy out some money to the different programs to really stock up on their gear and get ready for the upcoming athletics year. Could be a very nice gift to begin this upcoming 2026-27 athletic year. When we come back, we're going to reflect just a bit on the previous year. Stay with us as you're listening to Crusader Talk.
From the coaches to the student athletes and the fans that cheer them on, you're listening to Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
I wish y'all had a sneak peek into what our studio is like during breaks, because now I've almost developed the opinion that we should abandon this whole grading of the athletic groups and just move to, okay, if each team were a character from Bluey, who would they be and why? Yeah. Sorry for whoever would be Muffin. I don't even know if anybody fits that mold.
See,
I hope not.
I'm not there yet.
You haven't met Muffin?
Well, I'm just the main characters primarily.
Okay.
Muffin's the little white one, right? With polka dots?
Well, they all have a little bit of shape. But yes, well, she's the cousin of Bluey and
That's
Bingo.
right.
That's absolutely crazy and demanding. And
yeah.
Muffin was the one driving up the price of the scooter.
Ah, okay.
He was just talking about that scene.
I know,
in the
but
break.
I just didn't know. Yeah, it was just. I like that episode though.
Yeah, then socks and
you got to be at a certain age with children or grandchildren, and then you know who Bluey is, and if not, you have no idea. But if you do, you know.
That's right. Which, by the way, I need to find it and send you the link. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. I don't know if it's not where I saw it, but there is. I'm guessing you watch it on Disney Plus, but there is an episode of Bluey that did not make it to that platform, but aired in Australia because it just kind of features a subject matter that's slightly less friendly for American television. It just involves childbirth and what it actually is like a little bit. They mimic it a little bit, and it's hilarious. It's really funny. But I could see why parents in the U.S. probably wouldn't want to have to answer the questions that followed about childbirth, where babies come from, all those things. But an absolute for somebody in yourself who recently had a child, and myself included, it is really funny to go back and watch it because Bandit, the dad, is acting like he's a pregnant lady giving birth, and the kids are trying to be like midwives and all this. It's hilarious.
I watched Leo on Netflix for the first time.
Okay,
with Adam Sandler. Surprisingly good. PG, and I think it's a PG rating. I think you need to let 8, 9, 10-year-olds watch it, not 4-year-olds. But that they breached that subject as well, and so I'm pretty sure it was breached from an iguana perspective. So the kid, he asked the talking iguana, Adam Sandler, about where the babies come from. Fantastic.
We have very different tastes in media.
We have really devolved at the start of the segment. Bring it back, Caleb. Bring it back.
All right. This honestly, my idea for this is not a very well-developed idea. I will be completely honest with you. But it is something that I have just thought about as a way to kind of put an end cap on the year, and we're still going to talk more about recapping next week just because we're waiting for the official results of the Learfield Directors Cup. I expect Carey to finish in a good spot there because the spring has typically been kind to William Carey as far as their point totals in relation to other universities. In a warm climate, you kind of expect something like that. But in the winter, William Carey was top 20 in the last release that we saw as a progress report and all of that. And William Carey's finished top 5, I want to say 3 of the last 5 years or 4 years, something to that nature.
We've got to finish top 10 minimum, right?
I would believe so. Given William Carey baseball making it to a third-place finish, softball hosting in the NAIA opening round, golf had a decent showing, tennis making the or semifinals, actually. I almost said quarterfinal because they were one of the final 4 teams. But
could be a lot higher than we even realize.
Yeah, truly could be. So we'll see. I believe the highest finish I ever saw for Carey was 3rd, if memory serves right. It was either 3rd or 5th. It was an odd number. So it'll be cool to see tomorrow. Today as you listen, if you're on podcast form, perhaps, if you're on your morning drive. But could be a very cool result. We wait to see how it all shakes out. And we could look at the points and how that all works probably when we talk about the results of it next week. But there's a whole formula. You take the best however many sports, and wherever you are placed as far as your finish on the year, even if it's a tie across many teams, that determines how many points you get towards your total. There's just like a sum of points that are given to each sport. So you get however many percentage of that based on where you finish. Anyway, all that said, it is a metric that is used across NAIA, D1, D2, and D3, and the NCAA as well to determine basically on the whole who had the best athletic programs beginning to end for that given athletics year. So as we have finished up the NAIA sports season, time now to look back at some of the different teams from the year. And some of these are going to have a little bit more info to go off of than others. But let's start here. Swimming. I know some of these are going to be fast because of just lack of detail. But for William Carey,
I say swimming is a C+ to a B. I think it's above average. I don't think that they broke any new ground, so to speak, necessarily, but they were really solid. They continue to be really, really solid.
It was going to be really hard to match or top what they had in year one as a program with such great talent, like what Mate brought to the stage and finishing as an NAIA high caliber swimmer. But yeah, I mean, to finish 4th, which is middle of the pack in the Sun Conference tournament, which is what conference William Carey uses to compete in swimming. Not a bad finish at all out there in Ocala, Florida. Got some good wins on the season against Loyola, Thomas. Competed well in their different invites in Cleveland as well against Delta State. So all in all, I think definitely C+ to B, somewhere in that general range is about where I would say swimming would be at the end of this past year. Let's go to, I'm trying to think chronologically where we are. Women's soccer.
Women's soccer, just based off their historical, I've got to put them, this is for them. This is on their standards, that it's got to be a B.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think B+ would probably be where I push it. And again, that is because of what we've known William Carey women's soccer to be. I think if you transpose the men's team on top of what the finish was for women's soccer, you would probably give it an A or A-. But because of what we've come to know, we've known William Carey to make it to the last 2 teams remaining multiple years in the last decade. And so to see their exit this year kind of premature for what we are known for, I would give it just a solid B. And perhaps B+. Again, that's about where I'm going.
And we're judging them off their standard.
Yes.
Same way with swimming. It's just off their standard. Swimming came out and set the bar so high.
That's true. Very true. And again, we're grading tough. We're not necessarily grading on a curve here. Nobody's getting extra bonus points for the way we're assessing it. Now, let's go men's soccer.
Men's soccer. The early exit. Again,
So let's go ahead and just kind of
give me the numbers. Give me the numbers.
So William Carey loses in the SSAC tournament final to Montgomery 3-1, and immediately lose in their first game in PKs to John Brown University, a 2-2 match that they lost 4-2 in penalties.
Let's take so what's Barry Farrell going to grade it? He's going to grade tough. He's going to say C+ to a B.
I think you would,
because
again, based off what they did the year before,
felt that they almost won the regular season, and Faulkner got them.
Yeah.
That one stings. I think of one of maybe all the moments of the entire year, and just because of our love for Coach Farrell, that one stings as much as anything, any loss all season.
Yeah, and you think of some injuries late. Hamzic, who was such a terrific player, kind of the midfield to defender area, was a big loss in the late going there. But man, to do what they did with what pieces they had was very impressive. And this was not just a run-amok team. I mean, this was a well-put-together team. All in all, very impressed, but I personally would still give it a B, even though they get bounced in the first game of the postseason. This was still a good team, had a lot, just came up short a little bit. So I would say maybe B-. Again, knowing what the potential is.
And again, I'm grading on the, but saying C+ is like just above average for the caliber of program. Again, we're judging them on their scale. That would be a great year. That would be an A some places.
Yeah.
But just not at Carey.
Yeah, just not at Carey. Rapid fire. Women's basketball.
A.
Men's basketball.
A+.
Yes, I would agree with that one.
Yep. A in women's basketball, they get A+ if they won that first round of the tournament. They would have peaked out.
Oh, I skipped over volleyball.
Volleyball. That's like a BB+. The injuries, oh my goodness.
I was about to say.
Got hot late. Had 5 ACLs, I think it was the tally when it was all said and done. To be as competitive as they were, it was a BB+.
On perseverance alone, I think you have to give it a B. Even though the results don't look that great on paper, this is still a competitive team, and you have to give Hart some credit there.
Everybody's back.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to be really good.
All right, we'll rapid fire through the spring sports when we come back. Stay tuned. You're listening to Crusader Talk.
You're listening to Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right, let's quickly run back through the different grades we've had so far, if we can even remember them at this point. Summer heat, it gets to your head. For me, the lack of sleep that I'm experiencing, and then just general life for all of us, sometimes get to us. All right, so we went with, what was swimming?
It was
just a solid,
C+ to a B.
C+ to a B. Women's soccer
was a B.
was a B.
Yeah,
and then
C+ to a B.
And then men's soccer, about the same, B.
Well, you said maybe B, and women's soccer, you said maybe B+, depending. And I said C+ to a B for men's.
Yeah. And then rapid fire through the men's and women's basketball. Men, A+.
Yeah, A+ for men.
A for women.
A for women. And it was because if they'd have just had one more finish in them, it would have been A+. Would have made it A+, would have been winning that first game at the tournament. Exactly. I thought making the round of 32, because of the shape of Chenille, really just, you didn't have her. That you lose a first-team all-conference MVP type candidate. She's a player of the year in the league if she doesn't get injured. And then you go win the tournament, and then Mia Doyle, who steps in for her, also has off-season surgery. So Doyle and Corpus have undergone off-season surgery. you still win the tournament.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really good.
Yeah. And then on the volleyball side, we gave it a B because of all the different injuries that kind of tainted that season, but still had some stellar, crazy fun wins.
How many 5-set wins? And we're texting each other. You and I are talking after matches.
Some of them.
Incredible.
Yeah, they were an entertaining group to follow during their season, and hopefully, for Coach Shirley and company, it's going to be a really good bounce back year for them. Through some of the spring sports, tennis, I give them an A on both sides.
Sure.
I mean, of course, you're going to get that when you win an SSAC regular season title on both ends. Golf, I would say A-. Didn't quite make a national run like you wanted to.
For the ladies. And then the men would have been C for them.
A little underachieving.
Because, again, to their standard.
Again, yeah. And we'd grade on a tough scale here because we know what William Carey has the potential to be.
And we know what if we had the coaches in here, what their response would be in our minds.
Sure.
Yeah, they're grading on a
tough rubric there. Cross country, fair. Yeah, not too high, not too low there. I give you're right at an A. But let's go with the ball and stick sports. Well, actually,
track and field.
Track and field.
You go indoor, outdoor. We had another championship, correct? On the ladies' side, was that indoor or outdoor?
Oh gosh, now it's all running together. This is why you prep, kids. That's why you prep for a radio show before you go live. Quickly, I have a machine that can tell me a lot of these things. That is, if Kevin Rosary wrote a report on it.
He did.
Surely he did.
Kevin.
Yeah, they won. The ladies won their 6th straight outdoor track and field crown for the SSAC.
Yeah, I mean that's an A.
Yeah, automatic.
And again, we don't give an automatic A for women's soccer because the goal for them every year is national championship.
Yeah,
they have so dominated the league.
Exactly, and you're going to see kind of a reversal of opinion here in just a minute because my next one up is baseball. And what's crazy is the regular season, if you would not have counted what happened post SSAC tournament, I'd have told you B-.
Yeah.
Because there was no title, there's no regular season, no tournament title.
But it was supposed to be a complete rebuild year.
Sure. I mean, this is a very nuanced age of college baseball at all ranks. William Carey, no different from the ranks of a D1 school of what they have to do year in and year out now. There are very few programs that just come in with a freshman class and they start year 1 and move all the way through year 4, or develop in year 1 and then start year 2 and then play the full remaining 3 years. It's not like that anymore. William Carey has to recruit a lot of JUCO talent to come in. They have to pull down some from the NCAA ranks to come play for them, either off of injury or maybe an eligibility problem at some point, pulling internationally like you saw with Franklin Hernandez and Alan McLean. Carey has to get creative when it comes to recruiting on all fronts, not just baseball. But they did enough this year to find a winning formula late when it counted.
Okay, so you've only graded up until the SSAC tournament.
Oh, well, now, because of – you're not going to finish third place in the NAIA and not get an A+ for your year. It's not about how you start. It's how you finish. And that's why it's so weird, because I go from an A+ to from baseball, and I feel like you agree with that one, to softball. Now, 100% their A range. Is it just an A?
It's just an A because they're not satisfied.
No, they're not.
Those players aren't satisfied. Coach Hoag's not satisfied. I feel like there was enough maturity and enough talent in that dugout that they felt like, even going in, we were really excited and really high on them going in. And then the way that they got off to a good start, a great start, Coach Fletcher's last year, and you kind of knew that throughout, which is funny because it was kind of the opposite of the way that Coach Knight chose to do it. Coach Knight kind of waited till the end. We were able to send off Coach Fletcher properly, so to speak, as it kind of progressed and kind of reflect in the moment, which can be emotional. But they felt like, I think, ultimately that they left some opportunities out there. And that's why you don't give it A plus, you give it an A.
That's right.
Because there was an inning here, there was an at bat there was a game, here or there that they would like back. And that could have taken them even deeper. But my goodness, you're returning a first-team All-American a year from now to lead your staff.
Yeah, All-Americans were handed out, and Jaden Sawyer, the only William Carey first-teamer that made the roster. Meanwhile, on the baseball front, Matthew Davis, a second-team NAIA All-America selection, one of only 2 SSAC players even in teams 1 through 3. I think there was a Faulkner player that got third team, but that was it from our league. So Matthew Davis, high honors there as a Crusader, and we had him on the podcast last week. So if you missed that interview, you can check it out on our feed.
Going right back from baseball to softball, what does that do in terms of preseason prognosis? Comes out very early, comes out in the fall, because Wendy is recruiting very well, again, as always, as to how high William Carey softball could be slotted next season. I mean, I think it's up there.
I mean, this is kind of looking just down the road from us right now. Look at what happened in JUCO over these past couple of weeks down at Pearl River.
Yep.
You had a baseball and softball program both win national titles, which, sometimes William Carey's in a recruiting battle with the same players that those 2 programs get. But at the same time, it gives you that evidence that championships can be an R1 in Mississippi. You look at baseball and D1 ranks just a couple years back,
Sure.
Mississippi State 21 and Ole Miss in 2022. There are championship caliber programs that exist in the state of Mississippi. William Carey is right up there in those ranks as well. Baseball proving it with a third-place finish this year, and softball proving it with conference titles with, maybe a misstep away from getting back into Columbus, Georgia, and playing for the World Series if they
Sure.
don't stumble a little bit in their home opening round. So I think there's a lot to be said about what Coach Hogue did this past year and what she can continue to do as she continues her second wave of William Carey tenure.
Well, and the thing about the Pearl River, recruiting battles, if you will, they can't play at Pearl River forever.
That's true. Only
And
2
so,
years.
hey, if they go and develop a little bit more and we're able to get them on the backside of that, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. But I do get what you're saying is that if you've got a player out of high school and maybe they're in the development mindset, then Carey would love to have them for a couple of years as opposed to a Pearl River. I get that.
Sure. And just kind of encapsulating the bow on this whole grading thing for softball, and I hope I didn't miss out on any of the athletic programs. If I do, I'll probably realize by the 4th segment. But another reason that it's definitely just an A and not an A+, you saw your rival go to the World Series. In the Mobile Rams, the team that had been battling against you all season long for the regular season title, tournament title as well, and they end up making it out there to Columbus. Got the 4 seed, got put out just a couple rounds deep into it by the number 1 seed Madonna, and then Our Lady of the Lake was who gave him the kill shot.
Archery. Did we have multiple big-time archery finishes?
Oh, we did.
And then competitive cheer was a notch away from a championship overall. Finished second in their division.
I'd be lying if I told you I knew off the top of my
I think
head.
you've got to go A for competitive cheer, and then if archery is not an A, they're right up there close to an A.
Very, very underrated. I don't know. Maybe within the archery circles, properly rated. But Morgan Reeves and all the others that have been involved in that for a number of years now have really cemented William Carey in their positions.
And then with beach volleyball, they've been bitten hard by the injury bug as well.
Sure. Volleyball as a whole, I
think
almost lumped them together, even though they're 2 distinct sports.
Beach is it's too early almost to grade because they haven't set. Again, we graded swimming because of what they did in year 1, and you had a litmus. Beach has been so bitten by the injury bug that you almost don't want to grade yet. But it's off to a solid start. They're getting some stability there, and if they can stay away from injuries next year, I think we'll see a much better representation of what that's going to look like.
Yeah. So that is our report card. Final exams have been turned in. They've been graded, sent back in a manila envelope to your house, place of residence. Heck, they're emails now.
They've got basically an A average, close to an A average. I mean,
if it's not an A, it's A on the curve compared to the rest of the NAIA.
But think about how many years you won't have one A+, or you may not have an A. But boy, the A+ moments this year, there were a ton of them.
And I'm going to tell you, the B's and C's that we applied to William Carey, they're A's at some of these other schools, even within 100%. Their conference. And that's not a knock to anybody within the SSAC, but that just speaks to the level of play that William Carey expects from an athletic program year in and year out. That's why we have a podcast talking about it, because nobody would have a podcast just to talk about a bunch of losing programs. Talk about winning and high, intense effort at William Carey. Got one final segment with you. Stay with us. This is Crusader Talk.
You're tuned in to Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right, so at the beginning of the show, we get this disclaimer. I don't know if we keep it in the podcast form or not, but the views and opinions expressed by the host, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of, and give the whole gambit of umbrellas that supersede us. So, because it's the fourth segment, I'll reapply it here just to remind you that our opinions are our own and not necessarily a reflection of this radio station, even William Carey. I know they foot the bill, but at the same time, they don't pay for our brains. They just pay for our time. Now, but where I wanted to go with this is just in conversations about the state of athletics at William Carey. And what I mean by that is, where are we situated in terms of where we want to be? Have we reached the pinnacle of what Carey athletics should be? I will admit, it is very fun to get to boast about how winning of a program William Carey is. There was a big graphic and hoopla made about the winning percentage of William Carey as it relates to other universities and colleges in the state of Mississippi. That's great. People love winners. But at the same time, is William Carey in the spot that it wants to be forever? Or is there something that needs to be looked to pursue beyond where we are currently? Meaning, are we putting ourselves in a box right now, or are we right where we need to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because there's two schools of thought to this, and I can't help but think about this. They have a lot of fun in the MAIS. They have a lot of fun. They do their own thing. They have their own championships. They have their own fan base. They have nice facilities.
Now, albeit sometimes.
And these are private schools. These are private institutions. Carey's a private institution. But
MAIS has its flaws, especially at the top.
They do.
I'm not talking about from an administration standpoint. I mean, at the higher size school levels.
If we really want to jump on it, we can say, but they do have PowerPoints in football, so the home teams do get to host throughout the playoffs. That's a whole other podcast.
It's a different podcast.
No, but Carey has been very successful, apples to apples where they've been, and have put themselves in an elite position for there. But I will say that it does appear that the league as a whole is dying from the bottom, and so it's shrinking from the bottom, and then also it feels like that our league is shrinking from the bottom.
It does feel that way, and I'm glad you said it that way, because I'm looking at the history that we've had recently.
It just came to me.
Yeah, you recently saw Middle Georgia State move on from the SSAC into an NCAA Division II rank, and news broke over the past month that Loyola is going to be making the jump to D2 in the near future. They have agreed to become new members of the Gulf South Conference. That's the one that includes Mississippi Christian, formerly Mississippi College. That changed as of June 1st. Delta State, among others. And it really makes me wonder, what does this conference that Carey's in currently, the SSAC, look like in the weeks, years to come? Because right now, I think to a degree, some people are a little bit blindsided by Loyola's departure. I think it makes total sense for them. Honestly, I think Carey and Loyola are very much a similar bunch of teams that it's a little bit surprising they didn't make the move at the same time.
I'll say this. If it stays a league, currently the SSAC, does it not have to become the SSAC West and the SSAC East, and you only the champions of the two divisions play for the championship, but you basically play...
It depends on sport by sport.
So because the West is so much stronger.
I mean, it is Georgia, and then there's Faulkner, Mobile, Blue Mountain, us, soon to be Xavier, and Tennessee Southern.
And that's a really good, strong league. If it stops at the east side of Alabama, it's a strong league.
Yeah. But I think of how much I want athletics to be something people are proud of at William Carey. And what I see oftentimes, especially at, say, baseball games, this is a really good baseball team year in and year out. When you get your handful of rock-hard supporters that come through thick and thin that are always there, but a majority of the spectators are player parents on either side, William Carey parents or the people from the opposing teams that have traveled. And the sheer fact of the matter is people in Hattiesburg that are here for academics or community supporters don't know a thing about Life University, Point University, Dalton State, at the time, Middle Georgia State.
Great example.
But they do know Mississippi College, now Mississippi Christian.
Think how many people show up to get those tickets when Southern Miss goes over, or when Carey goes over to play Southern Miss.
Yeah. Show up in droves for a basketball game in which you're probably going to get beaten pretty well.
Carey's usually on paper a 30-point dog.
Yeah. But want to show up to that one because they know the opponent. They know a chance to play somebody they recognize. It means something at that point. I think, too, about how much money Loyola is likely to save by being in a conference that is a lot more regional. Similar to how Southern Miss in the Sun Belt now doesn't have to travel nearly as much as they did in CUSA.
And I'll put and this is tough. This is a tough thing, and I kind of leave this hanging out there. Is the SSAC turning into the NAIA's Conference USA?
Where's that bus heading? Hey, speaking of the SSAC, if you're interested in being the next assistant commissioner, that position is now accepting applicants. I got released on the website the other day. Minimum qualifications: a bachelor's in sports administration, communications, digital media, or a related field. Just some experience is requested.
I don't think I qualify now on my previous comments.
Oh, well. Well, until next time, good night, God bless, and go Satyrs.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.